they're making military munitions there with these Molotov cocktails. You're seeing grandmas in the street go up to Russian soldiers and yell at them. I mean, like the Ukrainian people feel what we're all seeing, which is this is a sovereign nation under attack for no reason, right? Like, Putin's propaganda war isn't winning. He's, bellying on about how there are neo-Nazis in there and how they're torturing Russian speaking Ukrainians in these sort of more separatist regions. No one's believing it. Even the Russians aren't believing it. The Ukrainian resolve to fight this and get them out of Ukraine and to live a peaceful life has been extraordinary. Usually we see these countries just collapse when you see a stronger country, like a big bully like Russia, go in. They just collapse. Like not so.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you would have seen this collapse had the president left. I think that, he's obviously not doing everything, but I do think he is the keystone of this arch that's keeping that entire country fighting. And I think that, that's what's going to be held on. You see the media who's putting all this attention. Everybody wants these, like the wins or like how far is it going to go? Or, everybody's trying to get their tagline in there. And they keep talking about, Putin taking Kyiv. Right. And even if he takes it, even if he runs his troops through it and he puts people inside of the city buildings, he's still going to have 20 years of insurgency across it. It doesn't mean anything. Putin better be ready for a long, long war. Because if not, look, we know what it's like to walk in somewhere with air superiority, and we know what it's like to walk in with the money and the troops and the training and then have to fight for 20 years. You know what I mean? And I don't think that we can underestimate the over complexity of street fighting, right? It is a complex deal. It took the United States, which is by far the best fighters on the face of the planet that ever existed. And it took us over 3 weeks to take over Fallujah that had, 300,000 people in it? You're talking about a city that has, it's the size of Chicago. This is going to be no small undertaking. And then what does he do after he gets it, right? It's just incredible to see these people, their willingness to rise up and fight for their own country, to fight for what they believe in. There's all this stuff coming out now about, who's supporting who and all this, trying to look at, what can we believe and what can we not? At the end of the day, you have to humanize this aspect of it. And that's what we did in the way forward, right? Is obviously our first books came out and we were talking more about, about the war and the black and white side of it, of, who's wrong and right. But there's just a humanization factor to this that we cannot miss. And you're seeing this across the globe right now of what hope can do. And these people hope and they believe so much that they can win and in their country that they're willing to take Molotov cocktails and throw them at tanks.
Yeah. They're at the point now where reportedly Putin's people are going to meet with senior Ukrainian diplomats. I guess they had to agree to go meet in Belarus, which is Putin's puppet, and they've been doing whatever Putin wants, this country sort of in between the two. And but the Ukrainian officials agreed to do it. It's not going to be Putin and it's not going to be Zelensky, but it's going to be, underlings that are going to go meet. And no, there are no preconditions. And Putin last week had been saying, you will agree to neutrality and you will agree not to join NATO. And then we will meet. And now here they are, no preconditions meeting. Who knows? Zelensky saying, I don't think it's going to amount to much. And they haven't stopped the fighting in the meantime. But it's something. Meanwhile, can I ask you guys about this? Because the most concerning headline has been about Putin saber rattling with his nukes. He's like, that's not really what you want to hear. But, and who knows whether it's true, but there are reports that he seems unstable to those who are around him. People have been watching him for a long time, think Putin might be losing it, that he changed during the pandemic was the reporting. And now he's putting their nuclear arsenal and those who oversee it on alert. That's concerning. And it's especially concerning because of all the things I listed at the top. He's got to be feeling concerned about Europe uniting against him. This is his worst nightmare. You got like Kosovo applying now openly for NATO membership. You got these other countries, who had been like considering it. I'm trying to see who it was. It was Finland and Sweden, at least making noises about it. And this is the last thing he wanted, right? He hates a united Europe. He does not like to be seen as the universal bad guy. So that combined with the threat of nukes, makes you wonder what his next move is.
Well, his issue was he was saying that NATO's against him. NATO wasn't against him, and Ukraine was not a threat. And he's gotten exactly the opposite of what he wanted. Now, like you said, with Kosovo, they won in. And you mentioned Belarus. Putin thought Ukraine was going to be like Belarus, where it's kind of rolling, no one fights, and all of a sudden, bam, you're part of Russia. Ukraine, you mentioned Fallujah. We were fighting, 300,000, city of 300,000, but not everyone was fighting. There's several million in Kiev, and they all want to fight. And then, of course, Putin's going to, I think he went crazy during the pandemic. There were reports that his family had COVID. He never wanted to admit it. But even Condoleezza Rice was saying he looks like he's a little crazy, like his face is chubbier and he's not quite making sense. So he's saber rattling. The nuclear threat's there. That's scary. I mean, that's something we can't even imagine. But I think the first option is a little bit worse. There's a bomb that he has about 22,000 pounds. It's a thermal barrack charge. We have one that we dropped actually on the Taliban. It's called a massive ordnance air burst. We call it the mother of all bombs, the Moab. But he's got one that it's a thermal barrack charge that detonates about 6 feet off the ground, and it'll make a crater 3 football fields, and it'll liquefy anyone inside. And if he dropped that on a populace, it's devastating. But he can say he didn't go nuclear. That's as close as you can get, and everyone knows that we've done it. Russia made one, I'm assuming, because China steals everything from us. They have one too. But that's like the next step in how serious are we. And it's scary when you get someone that maniacal, a little bit senile, but his back's against a wall, finger on the trigger. I don't care how many times they're in treaties they say, well, we have them, but they're not aimed at anyone. That's a bunch of bull. They're aimed at something. And he's got access to stuff. And I'm not sure going into Belarus is going to do anything. And Putin wants to save face, but it's going to come down to something really, really graphic, or it's going to turn into like a Julius Caesar thing, get stabbed in the back in a coup.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.